We are at 401 North Market Street, the home of everything Frederick, and I'm here with Stacy Reno.
Hello.
I think it's really fascinating when you were telling me what you specialize in as a real estate agent. You specialize in the retiree or just adults downsizing.
Correct.
When kind of in a time in this country, many people are upsizing, sometimes even bigger than they ever needed. But how did you find that as a passion in real estate?
Well, it started, my father passed away 10 years ago, so I needed to downsize his house.
Yeah.
And it was just quite an undertaking, and I wish that he would have gotten rid of some things throughout the years. And so I kind of lived through the process, and I can, feel the pain. And so I deal with a lot of students. I teach a class at FCC, an ILR class, the Institute for Learning and Retirement.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of my students, and that eventually a lot of them turn into clients. They just want to go to some place that's either safer, that they shouldn't be going up and downstairs, shouldn't be carrying laundry up and downstairs,
right,
or they want a new lease on life. Many of my clients are widows, and
right,
they don't want it. They're lonely, and
yeah,
they want to get into, Homewood or some of the local places so that they can have a new social life.
Well, yeah,
activities and things like that.
100% understandable. Or maybe they just don't want to have a house and a yard and all of that
Correct.
to take care of, so they can go to a condo,
right,
where it gives them the freedom to just kind of enjoy, travel, do whatever they want to do.
Exactly. And nowadays they can cash in on their equity.
Yeah,
also.
absolutely, absolutely, especially in this market, especially here. So how long have you been selling real estate?
I've been a real estate agent with Century 21 Redwood Realty right on 2nd Street for 8 years.
Okay.
And I've been an instructor at FCC for 4 or 5 years.
That's cool. So there's a ton of classes. You brought me a catalog, thanks. Mama Cohn's looking through it now, but there's a bunch of really cool classes
Right.
that are available to retirees, and I don't know if it's at a discounted rate, but certainly affordable.
Definitely.
Maybe
Definitely.
$15, $20 a class, depending on what classes they're taking. But there's art and music and computers and all kinds of things.
For people to keep their mind sharp, or just to
Right.
interact with people or meet new people.
Yeah.
So my class is, it's more of like a cheerleading class.
Yeah.
It's a rah-rah class. A lot of it is common sense, but I pride myself on focusing on donating to local businesses and, Habitat Restore, Select Seconds. Are you familiar with Select Seconds?
Yeah.
My mom's volunteered there for years and years. So I try to encourage people to, to donate locally. So
Give back to that.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's awesome because, I think that those organizations, I love the fact that that money goes right back into helping the community be stronger, more vibrant, and all of that, which is phenomenal. What has been the biggest challenge that people may have going through this process? I think I probably know some of the answers, but when you're dealing with a family or a person who needs to think about downsizing,
it's the emotional piece, the sentimentality. They want to keep everything. They know the history of it, and a lot of their adult children, or they don't want any of that.
Yeah.
They buy their furniture at IKEA.
Yeah.
They don't want antique furniture. They don't want they don't care about the sconces and the things that the custom window treatments that you paid $30,000 for. They buy their stuff at Target.
Right.
So it's detaching with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fine china, silver, things that unfortunately people don't use anymore. So they don't want that. So it's parting with that and finding ways that they can either sell it or, I try to tell all of my students, tell the story of the piece. Try to educate your family or your grandchildren and say, look, this was great grandma's who came over from Italy. And then maybe they would say, okay, well, I do want that piece to stay in our family.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing, right? Our parents are from the generations where, first of all, they came from nothing, most of them, right? Some of them or their parents lived through the Depression, so they certainly understand how prized some of these possessions are, it might have been the only thing that made it, right? And so I think you're right. The story sometimes can make people go, oh gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea the emotional value and the sentimental value to our family that things are. And it's funny because as Americans, we seem very cluttered anyway. So the fact that people don't want the stuff, it's really
to downsize.
Yes, it is
very freeing. You have less to clean. There's less
mentally it's freeing for me.
Clutter, yes.
When I declutter, it is a mental freeness.
Right.
It's like, you're not carrying around all that stuff, and so
and I try to tell the students tackle. I give them homework, and we have discussions. Everybody kind of shares their story. But I said, start with your linen closet or your spice rack or something, so you have that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
Don't
something
say,
small.
I'm going to go downsize, declutter my whole house. It's not, you're going to get defeated. So.
Yeah, for sure. Has anyone ever asked you, like, for help? Like, have you ever needed to go to someone's home? I know as a real estate agent, do you kind of gently tell people in order to sell their place, it'd probably be a good idea?
Yes.
To once through.
Yeah, with my students who become clients that become sellers, I work with them, sometimes 6 months out, 3 months out, we make a plan, because they need time.
Yeah.
They need time. And it's a process. And so we have a calendar and we work with that.
Yeah.
But there are other resources. There are downsizing services that are, white glove for full service. If you want to have somebody come in and help you your hands off, and they kind of do everything. I also know people that do packing and stuff on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
So, but once they get the resource book that I compiled, and we go through the class, they're like, I'm ready to start.
And it's like a therapeutic thing, I think.
Definitely.
I've seen a lot of those hoarder shows,
Yes.
because there's something they're holding on to.
Right.
And obviously for widows and people who might be alone, it's it's everything they've ever had. If people are gone, that's the only thing that's left.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the space that they're moving to can help them determine. So for example, I had a client that she was a student, and then I sold her house in Mormons Mill, and she was a widow and 4 bedrooms, and she was going to keep this huge mahogany dining room set and china cabinet and everything else. And they have in their mind, I paid X amount of dollars for this. I've used it for 25 years, but it's still worth that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
So then once we had the measurements for the apartment she was going to, there was no way it was going to fit. And just like that, she detached from it.
Oh, that's
said,
pretty
good. Do you think the buyers would want it? And they were like, okay, so size, I like to rely on that also.
Yes.
It's not going to fit. And then they have to kind of make that choice.
Yes, relying on facts sometimes supersedes
so I'm not
the
just
emotion.
the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Supersedes that part. That's, it is. It's really, and I think a lot of our parents, we look at the houses and things and just, just trying to get them to think for us now while they're here, rather than leaving it for the children to figure out when they've passed.
And that's where I think when I'm talking to the classes that I see a lot of like aha looks is just people just want to share their story. And I'm like, okay, you can tell me, but you need to tell your family too.
Yeah.
Like once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
Like when I was going through my father's things, then all my grandmother's stuff was in there that we never went through. And I found pay stubs that she was a telephone operator.
Oh.
I'd never heard of that. And so then at that point, there was no one to ask.
Right.
There was no one to ask that
story, And I think
that's
maybe,
sad.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is sad because all the stories in history go with that person, right? And I think, what would be really good as an alternative if, your kids don't want something is do a video.
Right.
Record yourself telling the story and the history about the pieces. And maybe the pieces don't exist anymore, but the stories will live on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's preserving your family
history.
It's
preserving the
history.
history.
And you can even do it through, pictures. Like when my dad passed, there were a lot of things from my childhood. I kept some, obviously, but the rest I took pictures of.
Right.
And you'd be surprised that looking at a photograph can bring back the same memories.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did that with all my kids' artwork.
Yes.
I was sick of sticking. There was no more room on the wall. But it really is a good way. It's compact. You can look at it anytime.
And then you can share it with them in a text, you know? So that's fun
really
too,
great.
because then you can relive it.
Yeah. If there was one thing you'd want people of Frederick to know about kind of this class and everything you're doing to help people, what would you want that to be?
That I'm here to listen and to take the time and to start early.
Yeah.
Start early.
Yeah.
You know, don't wait until you have to move for a certain reason, and don't wait till, you know, if you're struggling and you should be somewhere that's safer, don't wait till you have a fall, because then you jump from your house to
Rehab, hospitals,
maybe nursing home, where you could have gone to an over 55 or an assisted living. Like there's a chain.
Yeah.
Don't wait till it's too late just because you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I can help you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Where can people reach out to you? What's the easiest way if they have family who they need your help to get them to make that next move?
Well, they could email me at Stacy Reno at c21redwood.com or call me at 301-514-5296. Century 21, just Google me, you know.
Yeah. Actually, if you put her name in anything, it comes straight up. You've had a well-established career, and it's really nice to know that you're a resource for the aging population and, you know, helping them kind of make that transition, which is awesome. We really appreciate the time today. I'm going to have the website up. Make sure you reach out to Stacy Reno, and maybe your parents or you want to take one of these classes. You can look it up. I think it's really cool that they have a whole selection of classes for retirees here in Frederick. So, Stacy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it.
Of course.